Today we're doing a deep dive into Through the Work Glass by Dr. Reg Butterfield. And yes, he has a PhD, so we know he's not just pulling this out of a hat. He uses Alice in Wonderland metaphors to help us understand this crazy new world of work.
You know what's fascinating to me is how these metaphors, often associated with children's stories,
Right.
they really help us make sense of really complex organizational dynamics.
It's true. It's like he's giving us this new language to talk about things we all experience. But, we struggle to explain.
Yeah.
So get ready to tumble down the rabbit hole with us
Okay.
as we explore how to thrive in a work world that is anything but linear.
All right.
So Butterfield's core idea is that the pandemic was this great ripple, shattered the old looking glass of work rules.
Think of it as Alice stepping through the mirror. Work as we knew it, the 9 to 5, the corner office, the boss as king,
Yeah,
it's all been kind of reframed.
it's true.
It's not just about working from home.
Right.
It's a total shift in expectations from both workers and employers.
Yeah. Butterfield even has this hilarious image of the queen of deadlines,
Oh, yeah.
trying to manage a workforce that's everywhere and nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Trying to enforce deadlines when the very concept of time feels
Yeah.
warped.
Yeah, I can see that.
I bet a lot of you can relate to that feeling of always on,
Oh, sure.
work bleeding into life and never quite catching up.
Absolutely. That's a big anxiety for a lot of people, I think.
It is a huge anxiety for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really highlights the anxiety so many of us face in this constantly shifting work landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Butterfield emphasizes the need for both imagination
Okay.
and accountability, just like in Wonderland.
Right.
We need creative solutions, but also clear expectations and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Finding that balance, that's key.
It is the balance.
Okay, so the old rules are gone.
Yeah.
We're all a bit lost in Wonderland.
A little bit lost.
Butterfield then introduces this idea of a divided garden,
Okay.
one side lush with growth and learning, the other barren clinging to the past.
Interesting.
Which side are you on?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's not about blame or anything. It's about self-reflection,
Right.
Are you embracing the challenges and opportunities of this new work world?
Yeah.
Or are you stuck in the we've always done it this way mindset?
Yeah, you're clinging to the past.
Yeah, exactly. And Butterfield even talks about a universal tea allowance.
Wait, what?
Yeah, for those comfortable with stagnation.
So like getting paid to just exist in the barren part of the garden.
Well, it's a metaphor,
yeah.
for those who might be incentivized to resist change,
Interesting.
which links to real-world concerns about automation and job displacement.
Okay.
Some people might actually benefit from staying put, even if it means missing out on growth, which creates this social and economic tension that Butterfield captures so well.
Wow, so we've got this divided garden,
Yeah,
and the old looking glass is shattered.
it is.
How do we actually navigate this new world?
Yeah, that's the question.
Butterfield presents two paths.
Okay.
There's the linear path,
Right.
the traditional step-by-step approach to change.
Mm-hmm.
Make a plan and follow it.
Makes sense.
But as Butterfield points out, the speed of change is just too fast for that now.
Yeah, it's moving quickly.
It's like the white rabbit realizing the world's on step 8.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's still stuck on step 4. These rigid linear models just don't work when the ground is constantly shifting.
That's a good point.
He uses this image of workers pushing the same boulder uphill over and over,
Oh, cool.
trapped by outdated plans.
Oh, that's a good one.
It feels like a lot of companies are still doing that, right?
A lot of companies are.
But then he offers an alternative,
Okay, what's that?
the connectionist forest.
The connectionist forest.
Think of a tangled, interconnected forest, full of unexpected paths and opportunities.
Okay.
Instead of trying to control every step,
Yeah.
you embrace uncertainty, experiment, and participate in the change as it unfolds.
So more like being a gardener than an architect.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nurturing growth instead of rigidly designing a structure.
Yeah, I like that metaphor.
That's the connectionist mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's about adaptability and recognizing that change isn't something you control.
Right.
It's something you're part of.
You're part of it.
Okay, so we're starting to see how these metaphors can help us understand this new work world.
Yeah, they're really useful.
But what about leadership?
Yeah, where do they fit in?
Where do leaders fit in this connectionist forest?
Good question.
Butterfield tackles that in his Garden of Shifting Crowns.
Okay. Garden of Shifting Crowns.
Imagine a garden filled with empty thrones.
Oh, wow.
The king of command, the queen of strategy,
Right.
Their old models of leadership are gone.
Gone.
Command and control is dead. And I love this detail. The Mad Hatter says that in this new world, authority flows like water.
What? That's a good one.
Going where it's needed, adapting to the situation.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not about sitting on a throne and giving orders.
All right. It's a very different model.
It's a very different model of leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership is now about guiding, empowering, and creating the conditions for others to lead.
Yeah.
Butterfield is anticipating trends we're seeing now.
Like what?
Flat organizational structures, agile teams,
Right.
where leadership is more distributed.
Yeah, it's definitely more fluid.
But doesn't that lead to chaos?
That's what people worry about, right?
If nobody's really in charge,
Yeah.
think of an orchestra conductor.
Okay.
They set the tempo, the overall vision,
Right.
but the musicians create the music.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders still have a vital role,
Yeah.
but it's about fostering collaboration, not dictating every note.
So setting the stage, but not controlling every detail.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so far we've learned that the old rules are gone.
Mm-hmm.
We need to embrace the connectionist mindset,
Yes.
and leadership has to adapt.
It does.
What else does Butterfield have in store for us in this wonderland of work?
Yeah, what's next?
Let's find out.
Okay. Well, next we journey into Butterfield's Garden of Unruly Ideas,
Oh, Garden of Unruly Ideas.
where he explores the world of innovation.
Okay.
Imagine a garden where light bulbs sprout from trees like fruit and ideas flit about like fireflies.
Wow.
That's Wonderland's innovation hub, and it's a chaotic but brilliant place.
That sounds amazing,
It is.
but also a bit overwhelming.
It can be.
How do you actually make sense of all those unruly ideas?
That's the challenge.
And how does this connect to the real world?
Well, Butterfield cleverly uses this setting to highlight the challenges and opportunities of distributed teams.
Okay, distributed teams.
It's about connecting and collaborating when people are scattered across different locations, time zones, even at different ways of thinking.
Yeah, it's like trying to herd those glowing firefly ideas into some sort of order.
Exactly.
And I can see how that gets even harder when everyone's working remotely.
Absolutely. And Butterfield introduces this fantastic character called the Jabberwocky of Innovation,
The Jabberwocky.
a monster that thrives on confusion and indecision.
Oh, no.
It represents everything that can stifle creativity,
Yeah.
bureaucracy, lack of communication, fear of failure.
So how do we slay this Jabberwocky? Do we need some kind of magical sword?
Well, Butterfield proposes the connectionist cure.
Okay, the connectionist cure.
It's about weaving those unruly ideas together through threads of collaboration.
Yeah.
Building trust, encouraging open communication, and celebrating those different perspectives.
Mhm.
That's how you turn chaos into innovation.
So it's not just about having great ideas, it's about creating the right environment for those ideas to flourish.
Exactly.
But in a distributed world, that can be tough.
Absolutely. And that's where Butterfield highlights the importance of technology.
Technology, okay.
Virtual brainstorming sessions, online collaboration platforms, even something as simple as a shared digital whiteboard.
Right.
These tools can help distributed teams connect and collaborate more effectively.
It's fascinating how he brings us all back to the core idea of connectionism.
It's all connected.
So we've explored leadership and innovation through Butterfield's Wonderland lens. What's next in this journey?
Next, we enter the Great Generational Tea Party,
Ooh, the Great Generational Tea Party.
where boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Z all gather around a very chaotic table.
Oh my gosh.
Each generation brings its own values, work styles, and expectations.
Oh, I can imagine.
And it's, well, let's just say it's not always a perfectly harmonious gathering.
Right. It's like that meme of the boomers saying, we used to walk uphill both ways to work. While Gen Z is like, wait, you had to walk. What's walk?
Exactly. Butterfield captures those generational differences perfectly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just poke fun.
No.
He also highlights the potential for these generations to learn from each other. It's not about everyone becoming the same.
Right.
It's about recognizing the strengths each generation brings to the table.
So like the boomers can share their experience and wisdom.
Yes.
The Gen Xers, their independence and problem-solving skills.
Mm-hmm.
Millennials, their passion and purpose.
Yeah.
And Gen Z, their tech savviness and adaptability.
Exactly.
Like a diverse ecosystem where everyone has a role to play.
Precisely. And this idea of a symphony of collaboration is beautifully illustrated in the chapter titled The Clockwork Conductor and the Symphony of Sparks.
Okay. The Clockwork Conductor and the Symphony of Sparks.
Picture a shimmering chamber gears turning in a chaotic yet harmonious dance.
Wow.
At the center stands the clockwork conductor, orchestrating the flow of information, ideas, and energy throughout the network.
Okay, that's a powerful image.
It is.
So the Clockwork Conductor represents technology. How does that tie into the different generations?
Well, Butterfield shows us how each generation contributes to this symphony.
Okay.
Boomers share wisdom through a giant crystal globe. Gen Xers weave invisible pathways of connection.
Okay.
Millennials dance with ideas.
Wow.
And Gen Z zips through the network like shooting stars.
Wow.
It's a stunning visualization of a truly connected and collaborative workplace.
That's incredible.
It is.
But even in Wonderland, things don't always run smoothly, right?
Right.
Is there a villain lurking in this symphony?
There is indeed. Butterfield introduces the Disruptor,
The Disruptor.
a mischievous creature who throws the network into disarray.
Oh.
It represents those unexpected challenges that can derail even the best laid plans.
Oh, no. So what happens when the Disruptor strikes? Does the symphony come crashing down?
Not necessarily. Butterfield shows how each generation responds to the disruption, using their unique strengths to bring the symphony back into harmony.
Okay.
Gen Z reroutes information flows.
Mm-hmm.
Millennials spin new ideas from the chaos.
Right.
Gen X calmly repairs the damage.
Okay.
And boomers share stories of past disruptions to provide context.
It's like this interconnected network is resilient and adaptable.
That the disruptor might shake things up, but it doesn't destroy the system.
Precisely. And Butterfield emphasizes that disruption isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
It's often a catalyst for growth and innovation.
Oh, interesting.
We shouldn't try to avoid it. We should learn to embrace it and adapt.
That's a really interesting perspective.
It is.
So we've seen how Butterfield uses Wonderland to explore leadership innovation, generational dynamics, and even disruption.
It's quite a journey.
It's amazing how he weaves these metaphors together to create a roadmap for navigating this new world of work.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
But what's the ultimate destination? What does success look like in Butterfield's Wonderland?
That's where we'll head next, as we step through the looking glass of value
Looking glass of value.
and discover how Butterfield redefines success in this ever-changing world.
Okay, so we've journeyed through leadership innovation and generational divides in Butterfield's Wonderland.
Yeah, it's been quite a trip.
Now let's step through his looking glass of value.
Okay, the looking glass of value, and discover what success really means in this new world of work.
What does it mean?
Well, in this final chapter, Butterfield challenged that traditional, shareholder-centric view of business.
Okay.
He takes us to this shimmering looking glass that reflects not just our own faces,
Right.
but the faces of everyone involved in the workplace.
Oh, wow.
Employees, customers, even shareholders.
So it's like seeing the interconnectedness of the whole system,
Exactly.
not just focusing on profits for the select few.
Not just the profits.
Yeah.
It really highlights how value is created through this complex interplay of stakeholders.
Right.
Butterfield even pokes fun at the old way of thinking with his shareholders' tea party,
Oh, the shareholders' tea party.
where everyone's obsessed with dividends and growth projections,
Yeah.
but totally out of touch with the real work happening on the ground.
Right. They're in their own little bubble.
I can picture those shareholders sipping tea, completely oblivious to the White Rabbit, frantically rushing by with a late delivery.
Haha. That's a good one.
It's a brilliant satire of short-sightedness.
It is.
And that's where Butterfield introduces this powerful concept called effectuation.
Effectuation. Okay.
Instead of rigidly planning for the future,
Yeah.
you start with what you have, embrace uncertainty, and co-create value with everyone involved.
So less about predicting the future and more about adapting to it as you go.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about being comfortable with not knowing all the answers
Right.
and trusting that the journey itself will reveal opportunities.
That's a big one, trusting the journey.
And you see this play out beautifully in Wonderland. You know?
Oh, so.
The teapots start pouring themselves into this dazzling web of streams,
Whoa.
each representing a different stakeholder,
Okay.
all connected by these shimmering threads of collaboration.
So it's a visual representation of how value is created through connection and collaboration.
Yes.
Rather than top-down control or rigid planning.
Exactly. And when Alice looks through the looking glass again,
Yeah.
she sees this thriving ecosystem.
What does it look like?
Employees are engaged. Customers are happy.
Right.
Even the shareholders are content.
Wow, everybody wins.
It's a vision of success that goes beyond just making money.
Yeah,
It's about creating something meaningful and beneficial for everyone.
that's a good goal.
It sounds like a more holistic and sustainable approach to business.
It does.
And the key ingredient that holds it all together,
What's that?
trust.
Trust. Yeah, we've talked about that throughout our deep dive.
Yeah.
But how does Butterfield define trust in this context?
It's not just about believing what someone says.
Right. It's deeper than that.
It's trust earned through actions, transparency, and a willingness to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and learn from mistakes.
Be open to making mistakes.
It's about admitting when you don't know something
Yeah,
and trusting the network to help you find the way forward.
that's a good point.
So it's not about being perfect or having all the answers.
Right.
It's about being open, honest, and collaborative.
I like that definition of trust.
It's a different way of thinking about trust,
It is.
but it makes so much sense in this, complex, ever-changing work world.
It does.
And it applies to all of us,
Yeah.
whether we're leaders, employees,
Right.
or just, navigating this wonderland of work.
We're all in Wonderland together.
So as we wrap up our journey through Dr. Reg Butterfield's Through the Work Glass,
Yeah, how great book.
what's your biggest takeaway?
Oh, that's a good question.
What should our listeners ponder as they step back into their own work lives?
Well, for me, it's about letting go of the illusion of control
Okay.
and embracing the power of connection.
Right. Yeah.
We can't predict the future,
Right.
but we can build resilient, adaptable networks
Yeah.
that can navigate any challenge.
And I think Butterfield makes a really compelling case for moving away from those linear causation-based models of change and embracing a more connectionist effectuation approach.
Absolutely.
It's about trusting the process, co-creating value, and constantly adapting to the ever-evolving landscape of work.
He reminds us that the old maps no longer lead to the treasure.
That's true.
We need to forge new paths, embrace uncertainty, and trust that the journey itself is where the real value lies.
That's a great way to put it.
It is.
It's been an incredible deep dive into Butterfield's Wonderland.
Yes.
And if you're ready to explore further, we highly recommend checking out Through the Work Glass.
A must read.
It's full of thought-provoking insights and practical advice for anyone navigating the complexities of the modern workplace.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep wondering.
Sounds good.